gonna be like, I can't hear me anyway.
I have some lovely people in the studio with me.
Jesse is lovely.
There are actually 4 lovely people. We are live from Larkin Group headquarters, downtown St. George, the old Cameo Florist building. If you stop in, you cannot get a corsage, but you can get great real estate advice. And I did purchase many corsages at this place. Many. Anniversary flowers, Mother's Day flowers. We're at the corner of Tabernacle, and they call it University now, but to me, it's always just been 700 East because I grew up here.
Yeah, that's what I still call it.
Me too.
700 East.
I've got Jessica Marone and Jessica Taggart Marone, if I want to be very specific.
Right. Don't forget that.
I've got Jesse Devon Pole. How do you like that? Yeah, you've got your middle name in there, buddy.
Good job. Maybe I'll just start going by JD.
Yeah. You could, buddy. You could. While you go by JP often,
yeah.
I have a question.
Joe.
And we're going to open today's Real Estate Morning Drive with this question. When was it that we stopped building really cool homes? Now, I know people are going to be like, what are you talking about? I went to the Parade of Homes. Jessica, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Yesterday, I did a walkthrough down at the Nest. I turned the keys over, right? Because, they closed a week ago, but they just came here from out of town. And we walked around the home. It's built in 1966. And we went in the bedrooms where there's like the cool built-in cabinets.
Built-ins are amazing.
And they were like, these built-ins, this is so unique. There's so much character. I was looking at a mid-modern because I follow all these mid-modern Instagram accounts. If you pull up to my home, there's floor-to-ceiling windows. When did we stop this?
My wife would argue late 50s.
Well, I was going to say post-war when...
She won't even look at a house unless it's pre-1950-ish.
Yeah.
And certainly beautiful, unique homes have been built since then, but with the mass production of, suburbia, post-war, cookie cutter homes, little boxes, little houses, that I think would be the beginning of when it was more of a luxury to have a unique, very specific style home.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a builder. I'm actually going to, that we've spent some time with, who is an amazing guy. We're not actually representing him now, but at one point we were working with a guy named Jeff Smith. I wasn't, one of our agents was, right? So I didn't have like a really close relationship. But it was really funny. I'm actually going to reference him because he does such a good job.
He does.
So if he happens to hear this, congrats, Jeff. But I remember that the way he spoke about the way he built his homes, I had this instant kind of knee-jerk reaction of, oh, well, that won't work. It was this like, well, I can't cut corners. I don't know how to cut corners. It doesn't make sense to me to cut corners. Mm-hmm. The way that homes are being built today, and I feel like we're building quantity over quality. Mm-hmm. And man, if there's a builder listening and you're like, is he talking about me? Probably.
Well,
probably.
If you're asking the question, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably talking about you.
The thing that I find when I work with buyers that are looking to build, and I'd say, okay, the majority, if you're below a certain price point, the majority of the homes are going to be lovely, but they're what we call semi-custom homes here. And you have to be able to relinquish the ability to choose everything. And some people enjoy that, right? It's too much. It requires too much bandwidth to pick out every little component of the home, but some people really enjoy that, and they want to have a say over where the walls can be moved, and can we turn the house slightly to have a better angle of the view, and so really I think that these beautiful homes are being built. Of course, we sell many of them, but it's at a certain price point that's the luxury that you get to have. Does that make sense?
You get to have, right? Because there's a point where it's just not possible to
economically
make some of those choices, right? Mm-hmm. And still have it be affordable for your marketplace.
Correct. And that is one of the ways that mass builders keep their prices down, in the sense that they pre-choose a lot of the plans and the finishes so that, they can keep those costs down. But at the price of not always having an ability to have a really unique home. And so we see these homes being built, but they're in the million plus, well, not even million. Some of the box mass builders are selling homes at $1 million, and you can choose your tile colors, but you don't really get to say, you don't get a say in the architectural style per se, and have a truly unique custom home unless you're in the,
Well,
Isn't this crazy?
and is that actually the question you're asking? Because you could also look at it in the perspective of, are we really slowing down to make sure it's right?
Yeah.
So that could be looked at both ways,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Or are we just trying to rush it to the market, not really seeing what's getting missed?
Well, the answer is, I think in most
All of
cases,
the
the
above?
answer is
Yes.
no. That we're not. We're definitely no.
I'm saying yes, that's
Yeah.
a great question. Yes, that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
problem. And he's saying no, but
I'm saying
we're
no, I
agreeing.
don't think that they are. It's interesting. So this Jessica and I share a lot of architecture. By the way, Jessica Taggart-Moran is one of our great. She's a real
That is her
estate. She's a real estate professional and does a lot of staging consulting for our clients and has a design background. And you and I follow these mid-modern and some of these cool Instagram accounts.
It's fun to
I was gonna
pepper them back to each other.
I was gonna see if I still had this pulled up. I don't have it pulled up, but they talked about this remodel of, in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. But the 60s is really, for me, that's when they kind of wrapped up building these really cool homes, and you had things like floor to ceiling windows, and you had really cool built-in shelves and nooks, and lots of angular things happening, right? And it's funny, the world has changed so much. My dad would always tell the story. My dad's 83 now. And I think Warren Hannig is still around, but there's a guy named Warren Hannig here in town that he's got to be 100, close to 100, like legit. Great old guy. And they were business partners forever in different projects. And he said that, this is the irony. He said, well, back in the day, Warren would just, go to lunch or show up at the city building department and sketch something on a piece of paper and say, this is what we're going to build. And they'd say, that sounds good. And this is the irony of this. The quality was really high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there was so much, this is mine. I put my hands on this. This is my home. Even little dinky boxes like the one that I sold, the Nest. The Nest was a 1,000 square foot box. And then at some point, somebody added 477 square feet onto the back of it. And you can tell because I can see where the thick walls were.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at these homes with the brick fireplace and the very cool speckled stone hearth and the out front, the raised brick planters and the brick home. Why do people...
Attention to details.
Yeah. It was like I looked at it, there was not one brick that was not perfectly laid on this home. Built in 66.
I think, no, I'm going to risk sounding like old, I used to walk barefoot uphill both ways to school, 10 miles in snow. I validate that I'm going to sound like
I didn't. I went almost 3 blocks to get to Dixie Middle and Dixie High School. It was pretty easy for me.
But I think another issue is the pride or lack thereof of ownership of what you're doing. You're talking about that. The people wanted to represent themselves and their craft to the best of their ability.
Amen.
And today, I just feel because of some of the boom that we saw, we were hiring anyone with a pulse that could hold a hammer. And I look at projects that are overall beautiful homes, but I look at something and my husband calls it my teacher voice because this teacher voice comes out and it's like, are you proud of this work? Are you really willing to put your name on this?
I often think of your teacher voice because I get it so often.
Yeah.
From me?
Yeah.
I do.
It's okay.
What does that tell you?
Makes me grow.
I was going to say, what does that tell you? That tells you need
That
it.
I'm a
work to
nag.
do.
That tells you need it.
I've got some work to do.
Well, Jesse, I love you very much.
But I
I'm
think that look,
pleased to be in business
guys,
with you.
you're listening to the St. George Real Estate Morning Drive, the Real Estate Morning Drive, if you want to call it that. And we're with the Larkin Group home selling team, KW Realty in St. George, Utah, and we're in an interesting conundrum. And we talked about on last week's show, Jessica, I went down this rabbit hole of the fact that I went to Oakley and Francis and Camas, Utah, and single family homes were 800.
Right.
Yeah.
800. And it was interesting. I was a Wall Street Journal subscriber for a long time. And I had I'd commented on a Wall Street Journal article that said that U.S. economy is growing 2.8%, this quarter, whatever. And I don't comment a lot, but on these kinds of things, but I commented about the cost of living. And some guy said, yeah, but the cost of living hasn't gone up. And I'm like, yeah,
correct.
Blake's laughing in the background. By the way, our show is produced by Blueform Media.
They are so great. Thank you.
He's laughing. I was like,
apparently this person has not.
Well, it's one of these people. Yeah, it's one of these people who
he must have staff that does.
You have to realize some people like to argue on these things.
True.
I mean, good grief. You know what I mean? And he said, except it's not. And I said, let me tell you what I said. I actually have it pulled up so I could share it. I said, I've run a real estate company for 19 years. Year to date, we've helped 82 families, buy or sell. Last year, about the same with 160 closings. I want you to think about just our listeners, what it's like to talk to people who are in the middle of this. I said, we're in the trenches with this people. We're in the trenches ourselves. Mm-hmm. I own multiple investment properties. The cost of owning a home, just the maintenance, by the way, and this is a topic I'm going to bring forward today. It's actually an email that's going out to our database. The cost of owning a home has gone up about 26%. The cost of maintaining a home has gone up 26%.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
Does this sound accurate?
Yeah.
I said the cost of living has absolutely gone up, and there are 10,000 tons of data to support it. Here's what happened for me, and the email that's going out to our client base is around the fact that the cost of ownership has gone up a lot. And I said in the email, this is like we send a regular message out to the database. I said, I believe in holding real estate long term. Like I do. I love it. But I decided to sell not one, but now potentially two of my downtown properties because the cost of owning them right now is not making sense with the rent I'm bringing in.
Yeah.
And so, the email says, I know this is a crazy question, but if you could get a great price for your home, would you sell? And I'm asking our listeners, if you have a property right now and maybe it's a rental somewhere, it could be anywhere in Washington County. I promise, if you think you're I'm going to actually tell you something. This is going to be so counterintuitive to what we tell people. Buy real estate. If you think that if your perception right now is you're kind of on the edge of making money with your rental, you're losing money. I promise. And if I sat down and ran the analytics for you, you'd be like, that's shiz.
That's actually why I sold the property that I had in St. Louis. Because
you're losing money.
When I looked at it, it just wasn't making sense anymore. So I sold it.
You have to be clearing a pretty good profit. And so this is what happens, Jesse. People will buy rentals and they're like, well, I'm $300 shy. I mean, we'll just make this up. The mortgage is $2,000, but they pay me $1,750. So I'm a little low. I'm like, oh no, you're way more than $250 behind. Mm-hmm. And here's why, because the time value of money, I was actually got into this conversation with someone this week. Do they call it present future value or future present value? I can't remember which it is.
There's both. There's future present value.
Yeah, it's when you start looking down the road at what an asset's going to be worth, and then you look at what it's costing you today. Because it's
that part of finance that kicked my butt.
Yeah. Well, I was horrible with any math in high school, but now it's definitely my jam. And in college, and I have the transcript to prove it. Really bad, Jessica.
As do I. So
yeah, really bad. Yeah. But what happened is I looked ahead, and what we do is sometimes people will be like, well, I'll just hold on to this property for 20 years and then we'll be worth X. But the issue is that properties have maintenance costs.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're somebody who's sitting on the edge with a rental property, but you have equity in it, you might want to realize that equity. And people are so funny, but I'll pay taxes. Yeah, you will. So let me tell you what Chantry told me. You guys like to hear an idea from the greatest lender? Our show is brought to you by who? Jesse, Paul, who?
Guild Mortgage over at Chantry Abbott with Guild Mortgage.
Yeah, let me tell you what he told me. Chantry Abbott Guild Mortgage, not Gilt Mortgage. It's another company that I've also been involved with. So check this out. Here's what he said. This is like real world stuff. We were talking about my home on Maine. He said, can you sell your vacation rental and 1031 it into a cash? You haven't heard this, Jesse, yet. I haven't shared this with you. This was Saturday, 3 a.m. Can you sell your vacation rental? And I was in the middle of that 6-hour bike race and 1031 it into it. And I want to talk about 1031 today. 1031 to a cash flowing property without having to pay back that accelerated depreciation benefit. I'm going to explain what this means. I believe you can, but I'm not 100%. I did what was called the cost segregation to a historic home I own downtown St. George. And what happened is they accelerated the depreciation that I was going to receive over the next decade, like immediately. Kind of like, oh, you're going to get this little tax benefit over the next 5 to 10 years. We're just going to give it all to you now. Except if you sell it, you're going to have to pay us back.
Yep.
This is the IRS speaking. So he asked, could I sell it, cash 1031 into a cash flowing property? My idea is that say you net $100,000 from the sale. He's just making numbers up. He doesn't know any of the details. Purchase a rental in Oklahoma like Jesse has done. This is Jesse in studio. Oklahoma. Where at in Oklahoma, Jesse?
Lawton,
Oklahoma. Purchase rental Oklahoma like Jesse has done via cash 1031 exchange. Once you own it, I can get you 75% of that money back, refinance it out, minus closing costs. So assume a cash in hand of $70,000. Guys, we're talking about like some creative stuff. So I take $100K, I purchase property in Oklahoma. He refinances it, gets me 75% of it back, minus some closing costs. So he gives me $70,000 back. Why would he get me $70,000? We have 5 minutes, $70,000 back. Well, 5 minutes on the radio, and then we're going to stay on. Because the money could be used elsewhere. The property will still have positive cash flow of $300 to $500 per month. That's a good amount. And you have $70,000 cash in hand without a tax consequence. Even if the income doesn't qualify, et cetera, right? It goes into some complexity, right? Okay.
You guys, I know you know this. Yeah. Who you work with matters.
Oh my gosh.
I have been on one end of a transaction right now that has chewed me up and spit me out. Or I feel that way anyway because of
the lender.
So I'm representing the seller.
You just came back out of the birthing canal. Yeah. That's how real estate feels, by the way. It's not been
pretty, people. It has not been pretty. The last 3 days have been sheer hell for my sellers. Mm-hmm. And the lender and other agent on the other side of the transaction are lovely people. But I can tell that they do not know what's going on. And at the risk of so many people's lively, futures of where they're living. And it has been a nightmare. Who you work with matters to everything. I'm sorry, I'm on my soapbox, but even to the photographer of who you hire to sell your home.
The whole transaction.
The whole transaction and your affiliates as a team matter. And when we discount what people do and their value and just say, we're all the same, we're going to go with the least expensive
realtor, person. Lender. Oh, my brother-in-law's a lender.
Tomato.
Yeah. Could he have run this scenario?
You are going, exactly. You are going to feel it.
Jessica, here's a question. Let's shift gears, like very sharp left turn. You were talking this week about our photo shoots. We send out a really great professional photographer. Mm-hmm. They have professional photography equipment. They know how to do architectural photography. But then what are some of the mistakes that they make? And realtors miss these, and then these homes go. Then your home goes on the market because your real estate agent wasn't paying attention.
If I see a toilet seat up, I lose my mind. People, put it down. Put it down always.
Professional photography, toilet seats up. I
don't want to see someone's loofah in their shower, especially if it's a luxury listing. I don't need
what's
to know,
that loofah been up to?
I don't know. I don't need to know what shampoo you use. Take it out of the shower. Have someone that's looking, take it out, put it back in. I see homes that have a pillow that's toppled over and no one feels like they need to just pop it back up. Like this lack of You know, we
And
talked
we're
earlier.
talking about homes that were prepared.
Beautiful. Correct. You know, or just something. I saw a beautiful home that was, I think, listed in the 2 million, and there's a couple pairs of sneakers just right in the kitchen, just right next to the island. And I'm thinking, who missed that? That was not an intentional lifestyle choice, right? It was a I'm blind to that because I'm not paying attention to the details. Who you hire matters. So
you have two things here. You have we have the need for real estate agents to hire photographers that are paying attention.
Or don't get me started on an agent where the photo is taken by the iPhone and you can see the agent in the reflection of the mirror. Good night, nurse.
They're like, peace. They're like, hey, peace. Oh. And number two, I hope they're wearing pants. And number two, one of the things that we're learning in our final 2 minutes is we need to be present for these photo shoots. Unless, listen, there are some scenarios
there are times that it's not going to work, but there's no reason
why we need to be present as real estate professionals at the photo shoot, right? Mm-hmm.
Because there have been times that I haven't been there, and sometimes the photographers that are great, I get the photos back, and I'm like, what happened here? So we need to be there. We need to be advocating for our clients on every step, and I think that that's one of the most important ways that we can do it, because people just miss things, or it's just another set of eyeballs,
or they get in a hurry, right? Oh, I've got another appointment right after this,
right?
And with two people there, it can catch that kind of stuff.
Well, and I think we demand excellence from people that we work with. I think that it's fair to our clients expect that, right? And we make a great living what we do, and I think we need to be able to show up and be the most professional that we can be.
Yeah. And look, guys, at the end of the day, as we wrap our show up today, we've had Jessica Taggart-Marone, Jesse Paul,
Thanks
the Larkin Group,
me.
KW Realty. We're going to stay on Facebook Live, facebook.com/St. George Experts. We're actually live. We're going to be on for probably another 30-ish minutes talking through these discussions. This is about getting people the most money for their home. It matters. And there are only about 3 elements that we can control, which is the price that you ask, the staging that we help you do, and the marketing that we deploy, the storytelling we do. Nothing else is within our control. So if you're thinking about selling your home, maybe you're one of those people that's going, I'm not making enough on my rental.
Call us.
Which sell it. Call us. We want to have a conversation. You can visit us at gostgeorge.com, GOSTgeorge.com, or Google the Larkin Group, and shoot, let's have a conversation. Over and out.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Well done, guys.
Okay. We're going to keep jamming for just a minute. You better have a sip of that Diet Coke. I want to make sure that you don't.
I know, because
I don't want you to lose. Yeah, you could lose.
Once
Jesse,
you pop, the fun don't stop, right?
That's right.
Whoa, that's right, man.
Now
That's
that we're
right.
off the show for a second.
Well, we're still on Facebook
We're on
Live.
Facebook.
Yeah, we're still live.
I
So
know,
just
but
be
we're
careful
off the
what
radio.
comes out of your mouth.
I thank you for that
you.
warning. I appreciate that, but I am sorry.
For what? Your teacher voice? Yeah. It's okay.
Oh, I love it.
Sometimes I deserve it. Actually, probably every
love
time
it.
I deserve
I
it.
love it.
So
Okay, will
I
you tell
love
me
it.
lovingly when I'm doing
No.
it and you don't deserve it?
probably never.
I got a question for you guys.
Okay.
Yep, go.
I have a hot take that we saved for the end, but it's very relevant to how you started the show.
Okay.
Can I send it to you now, right now?
Yeah, yes, please.
Hot take. What's your thoughts on minimalist architecture? I've heard a conspiracy theory around that.
Conspiracy theory.
It's meant to demoralize
Wow.
our areas and make us more compliant. Now,
Like
that's a stretch.
communist? Is that what you mean?
It's-
I
yeah.
mean, kind of like
Communism and that kind of, that's
Lack of art,
lack of inspiration,
Huh.
demoralizes
interesting-
a society.
That's a flaming hot take. That's like flaming hot Cheetos. My kids used to be way into those. Jessica, what's your take on that hot take? I mean, it's incredible. You know what I mean?
my opinion is very anecdotal, because I feel like that's almost like an art history, poli-sci,
Yes.
economic type. I mean, it's very, very deep, that question. I
Yep.
could see that because you look at the communist countries and the architectural styles and building and lack of decor. And it's ironic that I mean, you know, we view that as very cool and hip when we see those homes that are built that way and designed that way. Kanye West, you guys have seen that home that he basically just ran to the ground. And I want to say it was Newport. It was on the California coast. So there's a great video about that. And it was very much that style. So it's funny that it's kind of viewed as so hip here, but I could see that. I don't think that's a big stretch to say that, but I don't know. I'm Pollyanna. I like to believe they're the good and see the good in people. And I think it's probably just another way that we view it in our, you know, in our society is just another way to express ourselves.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And what one of these great accounts that you and I follow together, he always talks about how boring homes are. Mm-hmm. And the thing that he, and I'm sure I've mentioned this at some point on our program, but he talks about how if you look at the spaces that you really think are amazing in your day-to-day life, he said it's places like bars and restaurants and hotel lobbies
that are
where they have
quirky
and there's,
eclectic
that's why people like this space, right?
Right.
Where there's mixed lighting. Like right now in our space, we're sitting on a mishmash of soft furniture. The chairs, but it's all from different stores. Jesse's got his foot on some random coffee table. I'm looking at a sheet metal face to a reception desk. It's wood on top. There's real brick behind our blue form team.
To it.
There's the most famous dozen streets in St. George going up our stairs, right? Literally, there's neon behind there. There's right.
Open
there's
ceilings.
open ceilings. There's a lot going on here. That's why people like this space, right?
So
It's different.
I'm kind of the same way in the sense, if you were to come to my home, neutrals, you know, decorating everything in neutrals is very, very hot right now. And I appreciate it. And, you know, lots of people do that. To me, it's quite plain. I love color. And I think that that's
My
what,
wife does too.
you know, I think that's what makes homes fun is that we have eclectic, collections of things that bring us joy. And, you know, that's why you said, like you said, it's so fun to go to those places because it feels homey, right? So those homes that are missing that, it can feel cold. So back to the question of, is it a conspiracy theory that modern homes that are very cool and bare are trying to demoralize us? I don't know. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But
I feel demoralized just being
about
here.
it.
Jesse, what about your house? You guys have this cool old home.
Yeah, it's built in 1922.
It's so cool.
Yes.
I love it.
And it's looks like a little cottage. In fact, we call it the wishing well cottage. That's the name.
I feel like my house needs a name. You have the nest. You have the wishing well cottage.
I got to
didn't name
name that thing that I'm in now because it's
I didn't name it, but
Hope House. No, that feels very.
definitely very unique.
yeah. I'm like, are we going to bring sick kids with leukemia in now, or is that what we're doing? Right?
I mean,
Real quick, you got a comment on the Facebook Live from Allison Larkin.
Yeah,
Don't know if you
we know her. We know her.
You don't
yeah.
know. You might know her.
What's her problem? Is she
Hi,
is she
Allison.
complaining or is it a good
sad
comment?
beige? Anyone?
She says sad beige.
Sad
Hashtag
beige.
Sad beige.
Hashtag sad beige. Thank you. This is beautiful. I had that open, but I moved over to the Wall Street Journal to look at my comment. Sad beige. Yeah. I aim. This is true.
beige is great, but mix it up, right? So when you just see, it just gets lost if it's all.
So good morning, Melissa. Allison. Hey, Jesse. So, but one of the things, can I tell you what I like about your home?
Yeah.
So first of all, it's built in 22. So homes like that just feel a certain way. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I actually like about it, and this is kind of what what's his name? Is it Hans Lorian is his name, the guy that we follow? There's a really nice level of busy in in your house.
Oh, there definitely is.
There's a lot. There's actually a lot in their home. Have you ever been in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My
there's
wife
there's a
loves
lot of things. There's a lot of
knickknacks.
plants. It feels, what's funny is when I go in, it feels homey to me.
Yeah, a
And
lot
it's
of
busy.
knickknacks, a lot of pictures, a lot of plants. Everywhere you look.
Isn't that funny that feels, different things can feel homey because people come in my 1960 very Palm Springs style home. And the odd,
say the
funny
same
thing is
thing.
they'll say the same thing for different reasons. They'll be
Right.
like, man, every person who comes in, gosh, this place feels great. I'm like, I don't know. It has half the stuff in it.
And I
you
never
know?
realized that people
And
walking
your
into my
home.
house say the same thing. They're like,
Yeah.
wow, this is awesome.
And Jessica, what I love in your place is you have so much art, which has been highly motivating to me.
Really?
Oh, you have tons of and
Well,
art.
I
By
mean,
the way, guys, it doesn't
motivating
have to
is-
be original art, gang.
Right.
Like just go literally put something on your walls.
Well, and I am really fortunate. I grew up in a place where art is celebrated, and so I found some beautiful pieces. You know, I've been curating it for a long time, but they haven't always been expensive, right?
Yeah.
But it's amazing what a gallery frame can do to a little
looks like-
piece
yeah.
of art because it can.
My
look
wife
really
actually
expensive.
taught me that. I had never been to a frame shop until I met my wife.
Really?
Never. And the first few times I actually had a heart attack.
Because of what it costs?
Yes.
Of what it
We
costs.
don't- we
If you
don't
want to do it
mention
right,
in my-
if you want to do it
Yeah.
right,
But,
especially if you
wow.
start getting non-glare, if you're putting glass on stuff, oh gosh.
But man, it makes a difference.
So the Frugal Framer in town, just a little plug for them. They are amazing. They've done a lot of work for me here, and it's fun to see
they
the
off of
work that
River
they're
Road?
doing. Yeah, they're right by Mail and More, another one of my favorite businesses in town. So, but yes, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate that art because
Well,
it
look,
does bring me joy.
I'm kind of building out a collection, like sitting in my laundry room as a stack of stuff that I haven't done anything with. Where I want to do, a couple of these, like it's an art wall, right? Where it's
Sure.
tons of stuff on one wall.
we should look at it.
Yeah, I want you to look at it. I've kind of started, but if I sell that Miles house, I'm going to retrieve a lot of that stuff off the walls.
Okay, can I tell you? Speaking
Right.
of, since
That stuff is full of historic artifacts.
well, and that's
Oh my
that
gosh.
is close to my heart because I styled it for you, right?
This is the gal that took the Miles house and made it incredible.
As we would tell our clients, make sure you do it before photography.
That's right. That's right.
I'll put the link.
you
I'll put a
know,
link in our Facebook Live to the Miles house.
Just proving the point that art does not have to be expensive. I was on eBay looking for vintage because the home is historic. I was looking for vintage posters and ads for Zion and Bryce and Utah. And I found the little coins that are collectibles when you go to national
incredible.
parks. And so I had
those are
those
cool.
framed, or patches, or I found this was really fun. What are they called? The little viewfinders?
Oh, yeah.
Those toys?
Yeah.
They're so cool.
And so I
They're
found,
round,
yeah,
yeah.
so they're like these round white discs that have the little photos in
That's
them.
cool.
I found them of Zion. And so putting those in, so I had the most fun doing that project. But again, those pieces of art are beautiful and very, just to the, detail oriented, and they were not expensive. They were eBay finds, cheap.
That's
eBay
cool.
finds. Yeah.
I never realized eBay was such a killer
Oh
find.
my gosh, I love eBay. I have to temper myself.
Yep. It's
I had
treasure.
no idea. In fact, that's where I got your little bag that I gave you the other day.
Yeah.
your
Thank
bike.
you. It's for
Yeah.
packets.
Yeah, it's-
So I
fun.
linked this, by the way, facebook.com/St. George Experts. I linked the historic Miles house. It's funny. It says, there's an image, Airbnb 503 service unavailable. And I said, the link works. It works very well. Yeah, that home is so full of great. It's incredible.
Yep, it
It's
goes right
literally,
there.
you killed it. You
Thank
killed
you.
it.
I for the budget that we were working on and the time frame that we were working on, I had so much fun and feel like I was the one that got the most out of it, I feel. So thank you.
So
That's cool. You've done a lot of projects for us like that.
I feel like it's been a fun side
yeah,
hustle.
yeah, it's. I love having you involved. Let me have us shift gears because we've been talking about
Got it.
architecture, and I opened the show with asking when did we stop building cool homes. We've talked a lot about helping people get the most from their home, right? Which is I was in a, honestly, it was it was for me, it was a friendly debate. I don't know if it was seen that way, but kind of a funny interaction last night with a former client of ours who was really, really convinced that my celebrity is what sold that nest home.
I mean, I love you, Jeremy.
But
no.
No, thank you. Thank you. No, like put it on.
I would have to agree.
That's sweet.
Please
Honey
put
Bunches,
it. Please,
but I don't think.
Please put it on the air because what literally,
Hell's
like,
sake. Can I say
I
that?
I
You
sat.
just did, so I guess
And
so.
this is a follower who this
That's
gentleman
good.
could definitely be watching our show right now. We appreciate your patronage.
He's cool, but he's not
we
that
appreciate
cool,
your we
people.
appreciate your support.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason that home sold is because I had full and complete control of the process. And he said, I can't believe you painted the brick. When the buyer came through yesterday, they had only seen it online. And they came from Las Vegas. She must have commented 5 times on the brick.
How cool it was.
I spent 1
love
hour.
painted bricks so
Yeah,
much.
he's like, I can't believe you painted the brick. I can very much believe I painted the brick.
That's so funny because what's the one thing the buyer raved about?
The painted brick. So what happened
good.
was I had full control of 3 elements. The price that I asked, the staging that was done to help the home appeal to buyers' emotions, and the story that was told, which is also known as marketing. And we told a really compelling story about being downtown, right? And about what it's like to wander in and out of Judd's store, or wander through the splash pad at Town Square, pick up a coffee or a FS coffee or the best blueberry croissant on the planet
I love
at
him so much.
Farmstead Bakery. What's that?
I love everything Farmstead and Chris Con. I mean, he is.
And do you know he just opened in Springdale
yes,
this week?
because I sold his employer their house.
Oh, yes. Chris is just so
And,
great.
Yeah, he has been such a gift to our community. I love
He's been a
everything
gift.
He does.
You know, and I love Chris. And we actually talked about Chris. We talked about the fact that there's the giant billboard in Mesquite, and they said his billboard that says "Best Bakery in Utah" is genius. And I said, I think I know where that was inspired. Is we shot when they were brand new. We shot this video called "Best Bakery in Utah." It's on YouTube, and and then Chris put a billboard up that said "Best Bakery in Utah." That's all it said. But you know, here's what happened. I had complete control.
Right. You weren't
Complete control.
trying to convince anyone that it was important, that it mattered, that you replaced the wire janky hangers from the dry cleaner
Bingo.
with pretty wooden hangers from IKEA.
Bingo.
You weren't having to clean. You just knew that it would help.
Like
You
I
weren't
actually
having
had
to convince people that wiping down drawers inside actually made the home feel cleaner when someone pulls open the cabinets and sees that they're wiped down and clean.
Do you remember the mailbox that I ordered and I put on the
do,
front?
because it's
I call
beautiful.
it a bread bin type mailbox. Guess what the buyer said? This mailbox is incredible, and she opened it yesterday. People don't understand how much these things matter. The rug on the front porch. How about I had a buyer
comment. By the way, I want it back.
Oh, crap.
Too late now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
it's cool.
I
It's
think
cool.
they probably think
Okay.
it's theirs.
Oh,
Looks like you owe her a rug.
that's cool. No, it's
Jessica,
fine.
I
It's
apologize. I left and it's still sitting
It
there.
is cool. Happy closing.
Wasn't that a
gift to
$40 Walmart outdoor rug?
We'll talk later.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Oh,
No.
bless. That was one of those bless you looks. Oh,
Okay,
bless
so
you.
so
It is totally fine.
you spent way too much on an outdoor rug, is what you're telling me. I'll pay you for it.
If Ricky Ricardo is listening, then yes, that's what I got.
Yeah. So all I know is I left and I realized as you asked, it's
That's
still
good.
sitting there.
That's fine. It's cool. Honestly,
We better figure it out.
It was-
I'll send
I'm
you
not stressed about it.
Invoice me. Invoice me. I had somebody comment. I put it's July, right? I put a rug on the back porch from Ace Hardware that was like a God Bless America or something, like cute. I actually had multiple people go, cute rug on the back porch. Guys, this matters.
this is why when you go to a really great department store or a beautiful hotel, the air is infused. Those little details that people don't think they notice are subconsciously absorbed. Like you go in and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to live here. What can I do to always be on vacation here? What can I do to shop here all the time? Those little things matter. And those are the little details that you did to the nest so that everyone that walked in was like, oh my gosh, I could envision my life here. I could see my family sitting here in this great room. And, you know, not that it was
in the front door.
Yeah, it was
Here's a question. Good morning. Here's a question that I have.
Hand me my purse, will you?
Oh, is she here for you?
She's here for a key that I forgot to get.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is too hilarious. Doesn't matter. You're not in the frame.
Yeah, you're fine.
You're not in the frame.
If not, this is my beautiful client, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Ashley,
if you need
did you buy a home?
Not yet. We're in the process.
They're leaving a new key for the new listing that's coming up.
Oh, this is so freaking awesome.
Okay,
I already
check
like
in
Ashley.
here, Ashley, to see if
Okay,
it's in there.
so here's the deal. The reason I'm going to ask you, why is it that when we meet with a client who's going to sell, they have so much resistance to every single thing that we tell them that they might need to do? And they actually even ask, are you sure we need to?
There's a couple reasons. Number one,
Yes.
they are in love with their home. They don't realize that it could be seen differently by somebody else. That's number one. Number two, it almost comes across as being negative.
Like a criticism.
Yeah, I thought you were like in my court.
Right. And three, they don't realize that money spent with those changes will make the absolute biggest difference you can possibly imagine. They just don't know what they don't know.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before too, that sellers, there tends to be this rush to get on the market, right? We've got to get on the market tomorrow, the sooner the better.
And that's the worst thing you can actually do.
Exactly. Slow down to speed up. I just took a list, or it just went live, and they've been working on getting the property ready for a couple of months, actually 2. Yes. And, we painted the exterior of the home. Mm-hmm. They did construction work on it. They deep cleaned everything. They were even, power washing all of the exterior concrete. Mm-hmm. Again, like you were getting all of the tree debris out of the gutters, right? Those things.
I literally was out there with a shovel.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, there's some stuff in the gutters, right?
So, and it
detail.
shows that matters. But rushing, I think they feel overwhelmed that it's another, they may not have the bandwidth to do it. And I think the cost is prohibitive. And sometimes it is legitimately
Sometimes
prohibitive.
it is, but a lot of times it's really not.
Right.
So many times it's not about the cost. It's about their belief of what the cost will bring. Do we really have to do this? Is it really that necessary? And if I can't, or we can't
guarantee it,
switch them from a seller brain to a buyer brain, the way I call it, and walk them through a story of, hey, let me ask you this. Has there ever been a time when you walked through a house and just you could tell all of the details were missing, versus when you walked into another home, they thought of everything and you just went, wow. Which one as a buyer were you more likely to pay more money for?
Right.
If we can't capture that moment with the seller, then they don't believe it's necessary.
Yep. Yeah, because if you could guarantee it, if I could take a listing like this, Jessica, I'm so excited to sell your home. Are you willing to give me full creative control of how we take this home to market? If you were to say yes, I'd be like, you're going to have a great freaking experience. Mm-hmm. This is going to go really well for you. Mm-hmm. But, most people won't, right? They just won't. And I understand that. And they, it's like, because remember, the average consumer thinks every realtor is the same, right? They don't know. We all have the same license. But here's the funny thing. Jessica, as a woman, do you have a hairdresser?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I have a great one. Mm-hmm. If you're looking.
Mm-hmm. The reason that is such
ethereal.
The reason that's such an important question and response is you already know why I asked it. But they're all the same, right? Every one of them's the same. I
so
talked to
ironic.
someone this
It
week
is so
who
ironic.
drives to Idaho Falls from St. George once a quarter to her hairdresser. They ain't all the same.
It is
Wow.
so ironic that we put so
Jesse
much.
goes to goat and has him buzz his head.
Goat's great, right? It's the goat. But that we put so much, like if we go to a new person, how scary it is to get our hair done when hair's going to grow. Like if you have a bad haircut, that is a bummer, but it's going to grow out.
Yep.
But we consumers feel like we are all the same with their most expensive investment ever. The irony is sad.
That's crazy. Now, speaking of goat, for a guy like me, it was pretty expensive because I'm a guy that I'll go get my hair cut every 2 months if I'm not, my wife doesn't remind me. Goat has been a really blessing for me. And I found the best barber I've ever had. The best. It's become an experience for me.
Okay. It's about the experience. When I go to Ethereal, they greet me with, they know my name. Can I get you a cold beverage? They have a tray of beautiful little treats. They massage my scalp. I mean, it's all an experience, right? I mean, it's
cool. Yep.
so.
Well, look, amen. So I want to really compel people who are thinking about selling their home to really, really understand how critical it is that you nail these 3 elements we've talked about. And people be like, oh, location, location, location. I'm like, do you guys understand that you can't change the location of your home? Like, stop talking about location. People say that because they heard that. They heard that it's a cute thing. Location, location, location. They heard it somewhere. You can't change the location of your home.
I mean, it obviously matters, but it's not the key component to
Right.
successfully selling.
Here's why. Because guess what you're selling? You're selling the home you own, where it is. Price,
Condition.
staging or condition, and marketing. The end. The end, guys. The end. Like the end. Like, and you can wrap everything into those 3, right? Okay, now I'm going to really shift gears. Was I the only one up at 4 a.m. with my home being shaken literally to the fact that it was literally just going to fall apart from the thunder last night? Did you not hear it?
I was sound asleep. I was exhausted.
You're kidding me.
I woke up, but I was already up at 4.
Good
I
grief.
woke up at 5, but I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
It was pretty intense.
Do you sleep like that? I didn't think you slept well.
You mean? Well, when I'm asleep, I sleep great. It's just staying.
She wakes up a lot.
Struggle. Oh,
I definitely heard it.
It was, guys, it was incredible. And here's the reason I wanted to bring it forward because A, it happened. And B,
was there also an earthquake the other day?
maybe.
I saw someone post that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, she's saying yes.
Oh, man. There you go.
I missed it. If
I was asleep.
Yeah.
I was asleep.
Well, and the reason I bring this forward is we live in, so for people who are looking at moving to St. George, we have a distinct monsoon season and it started. And so what you'll notice is every day you'll start to see the clouds. Like right now we got up, it was blue.
And you can feel it. It's muggy for St. George. Mm-hmm.
It's so muggy. Mm-hmm. So you wake up, it's blue. And then I promise you it's 9:30 a.m. Not long from right this very minute, like by probably 11 o'clock, you'll start looking to the east and the clouds start to build. And they build out in Zion National Park and they start to build on the Arizona Strip. And then they start to build against Pine Valley Mountain. And it's basically like they backfill into town. Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest thing. Vegas, Phoenix, St. George, all these places deal with the monsoon season. And yesterday when I went to turn the keys over to that client, the gutter was just absolutely jam-packed with stuff because in St. George proper, the water comes, the boulevard's high and then everything else is low in St. George proper. So all this water comes down off of the Red Hill, off of the boulevard, off of the north side of town, flows south. And I was out there with a shovel cleaning it back out again. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting and I love it. Like waking up this morning and realizing that it had poured rain and that my bike trails had a little dust recovery and that things were being fed besides, because guys, remember like 2 weeks ago, like honestly, almost everything in my landscape was fighting
Parched.
for its life.
Yeah, there's
fighting
something
for its life.
so
Yours too?
magical about a summer
Dude,
rainstorm
dying.
too. Like the hot rain, and it's great.
So good. So good. So I don't know, it was fun. I woke up and there were puddles and I thought, oh, yes. Did it rain in Wyoming where you grew up? Mm-hmm. It did.
Yeah.
It seems
it's high desert, so
it's
it would rain kind of like here. Like it would rain pretty hard for, a while, and then it 10 minutes later, 30 minutes later, it could be beautiful blue skies. So
yeah,
it was fickle like that. But yeah, we got rain.
Yeah, I mean, if you're moving here, just understand that first of all, it's hot. I mean,
It's been gnarly. I feel like this week has been much more
We
tenable.
get very
but
little relief in the summer.
a couple weeks ago, I was questioning my life
guys,
choices.
it was so bad.
Yeah,
there was a couple coming in from Idaho. They're looking at purchasing a home here and today. And, I just told them, I was like, look, and they're coming from where it's much cooler in Idaho. I said, warning.
That's important that they come this time of year so they really know what they're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that's super valuable. That almost ought to be a requirement. You want to purchase a home in St. George, South Utah?
Come and spend
as
the
soon as you've
weekend.
spend 5 days here, sometime between July 1st and August 31st, then you can buy.
So true.
That would be so good. What if that was
Unless they're coming from
requirement.
Phoenix, then they'll be okay.
yes. Oh, that's it. You asked them where they're coming from. That's it, right? So if you're coming from Phoenix, Las Vegas, Tucson, shoot, even a place like Miami where it's just miserably
Yeah,
humid.
miserable hot with the humidity. Yeah.
But it's hot. It's hot. And
It was
people,
been a scorcher. I'm not going to lie.
yeah, and people come to town and they're shocked. But this is a 4-season place, and we absolutely have winter. I believe that the best season in Washington County by far is actually, and people always say October. It's actually late October and all of November. I think November is
Absolutely.
magic.
Yeah, the light is so beautiful.
The
time of
light
year,
is so
for sure.
beautiful. It's low. It's warm. We still have leaves on the trees. They're all turning all the colors. So November in St. George is your month of high 60s and 70s.
It's kind of when I regret
can be hot in
saying all
October.
the things I say about St. George in August. That month. It's like, oh,
You take it back?
I take it back.
September can be hot. Really hot. September is hot.
There's like a snap where all of a sudden it becomes crisp at night. It's still warm during the day, but I mean, it's still warm in September for sure.
Yeah. So if you're thinking of coming here, we'd
Test
love
it
to have
out.
you.
We'd love to have you.
We'd love to have you. How do people find us as we wrap up today? And they
Google us, the Larkin Group.
yes.
Love it.
Or you can
Go
visit
stgeorge.com.
GoStGeorge.com.
Look
Go
us up on
stgeorge.com.
Instagram.
If you want to play around in Cedar City, go cedarcity.com.
Mm-hmm.
But Instagram is at Larkin Group. And I think one of the most fun I had with handing that home over was that I had personally touched it. And I think that sometimes we forget as realtors the fun. People come here, they look at a home, we help them find it, they close. It can be so transactional. We need to have fun saying, welcome to this place we live in.
So I just helped the cutest first-time home buyer. I helped her parents buy a home a few years ago, and now she was getting a home, and she has been sending me all of her pictures of like her shower curtain
No,
and
that's
the
awesome.
rug that she picked out for the living room. And it has been so fun to like experience that through her. Yeah, it matters. It is more than just, like you said, the transaction. It's people where they go and live their lives. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun.
It's pretty darn special, guys. Jessica
That's
Taggart
cool.
Marone, Jeremy Larkin,
Thank
Jesse
you for
Paul.
having me. It's always fun to be with you too.
Over and out.
Thanks for having us.